all focus on trying to get him in,
Hold on. He probably wants to come in here and talk about his campaign to be governor. Or not governor, run for Congress. I think that we should give him equal airtime and allow him to make his pitch of why he would be good for Congress.
He's welcome to. I'm not stopping him. I just think that sometimes he plays games and he could be lying about not being able to get in.
This guy's one of your conservative pals or conservative circle?
No. It's her ex-lover, so I mean, like, to be fair, I guess.
Careful, Brad, before we open the door to ex-lovers. Careful.
Go ahead, open up all the door. What are you going to do? Talk about my late wife? Is that what you're
No, I don't talk about deceased spouses.
Oh, okay, so then I would probably shut up if I were you.
You opened the door. I put a foot in and you're starting crying. Like, don't open the doors you don't want open, Brad. That's all.
I'll open it. Please practice with the best. And, I mean, I'm sorry John left you. Edmund left you. I mean, hopefully it was amicable. From what I heard, it was just, it was a heavy burden for
Take the deeper espresso you have today. Ding. All right, do we want a topic?
That was
Hey, Bren.
Monica, why did you do the upspeak when you were asking a question?
I thought that too. It was very British.
I don't know. I sometimes have a problematic vocal fry too.
I mean, if it's obvious you're asking a question, you don't have to do the upspeak that indicates that you are asking a question.
Somebody on stage has me blocked. This is John Kitover, aka American Party, and Monica is a fat pig.
It's amazing you come into a room where Roger has a topic on the table. He's already discussing the topic with multiple other people, and you're like, "Oh, we need a topic," as if somehow everybody is waiting in anticipation. Whatever Jordan Peterson quote you're going to give, and think somehow you're going to be considered intelligent.
By the way, Brent, Jordan Peterson has a new video out. He reads There's No Such Things as Dragons again. An updated reflection upon it. Quite love that guy. Thanks, Brad, for reminding me. You're a hero today, Brad.
I'm a hero every day. I just wish I could have passed on saving your ass once upon a time.
We got Breen in the muff. Breen is in the muff.
My goodness. How often has that happened?
I'm just laughing that I came into a room and the very first thing I hear is Monica say, "Who's the Muslim?" I have no context, but that was amazing. Better than Hakima. She's hunting us now.
That was Mojo's joke.
Bryn, this is not your first time in the muff. We've established that you have children, so some people might be surprised by that, but I am not. The only person who was uncomfortable about the title of this house was, is she here? She's not here. That was Victoria. Victoria is not comfortable within the muff. I tried to explain to her the etymology of the term. She didn't accept that. She found it offensive. But I think the rest of us adults, we can enjoy being in the muff.
You tell her nobody wants her ginger muff anyways.
I mean, Mojo, if you're debriefing presidents left and right, you don't have time for this tomfoolery of these kind of rooms.
That's a very valid point. Britton, let me ask you this. What, outside of Joint Chiefs of Staff, Vice President, National Security Advisor, who else gets to the Situation Room? Because Victoria claims she's been there multiple...
What? Victoria on this app, Victoria?
Yeah.
She doubles as a general, apparently.
The Situation Room? She said that? Oh, good Lord.
3 times. And the final time she was in there, it was with President Trump, and he did something that made her feel uncomfortable.
And she confirmed it on stage, because I didn't believe it at first, and she stated it again on stage today. And what makes me nervous is the fact that if she was true, that batshit woman was like in the Situation Room advising what exactly on military operations around the world, because that would scare the fuck out of anybody.
Does she not, like, I get people have made some crazy claims on this app, but does she not understand, like, how tight of an entry list that fucking room is? And it's not somewhere they just go take a coffee break because they feel like it. Like, you've not ever been in there, bitch. Like, but that's not.
She's in the Situation Room, and the president's asking her a question, and she's like, "Oh shit, I just got a Clubhouse ping. I gotta take this. I'll be right back, Mr. President."
See, that's where people are just out of their fucking minds, though. Like, she could say that she, briefed a president or spoke to a president. They get spoken to in a lot of places. Now, I don't think anyone would believe Donald Trump listened to 2 minutes of her nonsense, but the Situation Room, clearly she doesn't understand how that works.
I think Trump would have secretly had her killed if they even met.
What was she? Here's my question, Roger. What was she saying she's an expert in that she was consulting on?
She wouldn't tell us because she didn't want to dox herself, but it all started with she talked about
Is Mojo in the Matrix, or is that me?
I think he's in the Matrix.
Oh shit! You see, Victoria, she got the far reach. She knows CIA agents. She's knocking you off the app, Roger.
Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, cool. So Abby had, first of all, she made the claim that, Victoria made the claim that Donald Trump makes women uncomfortable. And then Abby said, well, I met Donald Trump and he didn't make me feel uncomfortable. And then so Victoria responded, well, when I met him, he made me feel uncomfortable. So then it was the obvious, like, well, when did you meet him? And then he said, well,
Oh, no.
And then when we started drilling into it, she's like, she'd started down and said,
Roger, you're cutting out. You're cutting in and out.
All right, am I better now?
Yep.
Okay, so then she makes the claim that that she's been in the Situation Room. This is where Donald Trump made her feel uncomfortable. And then when we started asking questions about the Situation Room, she started making up this story about how, well, that's not the first time I've been there. In fact, I've been there for 3 different administrations. And then we were asking her why, and how, and like why they would, what she's an expert in and that they would want to hear from. And she didn't want to talk about that because that would reveal too much information about her. But she said she'd been there with Obama, Biden, and Trump.
It's like people that have real money, like all the posers on this app. Yeah, some of them definitely have money, sure. But people with like real money, like with your name is DuPont or Rockefeller, like, guess what they don't talk about? Money. They just do. People that are actually, have security clearance to go to the Situation Room don't talk about it to anyone else. They probably don't even talk about it with their other colleagues who don't have that access, let alone going on fucking Clubhouse and saying you've been in the Situation Room multiple times, but I can't disclose. I signed a couple of NDAs. I signed NDAs as a voiceover guy for not disclosing like what a video game, material script might be before the game is released. But the amount of clearance you need to get to the Situation Room and all the shit you have to go through, they probably have to go through additional background checks. Nobody goes on Clubhouse or social media talking about the Situation Room unless they're, a little mentally unstable.
Well, and it would be bad. I'm glad I wasn't in that room, Roger, but it would be bad enough to make the statement once, but like to double down on it and then, 3 administrations. So the Democratic administrations twice and a Republican administration once needed you in a situation that was so dire that you got dragged into the Situation Room. No. just period. Even if she was an expert in something that the government actually would need, you're not going to be the expert brought in by a Democratic and a Republican fucking administration. Like, no.
I already don't care for her.
Oh. I already don't care for her, but that's some extra nonsense.
And I don't even think that you'd be allowed to bring in coffee as an intern or as a page or whatever the gophers are at that level. Like, I don't even think you'd be allowed to do that, let alone briefing the fucking president on war games.
So something that came out of that conversation in a back channel was somebody sent me a message that said it must have had to do with China, and then I responded, like, how would you know that? And they told me, I have no idea if this is true, but they said that she's fluent in both Mandarin and Cantonese. Maybe as a translator? I mean, like that's the only thing I could think of if there were any truth to it. But does anybody know if she's fluent in Mandarin and Cantonese?
That I think she is. I don't know about both, but I think she is. I remember back season 1, she was in these rooms that I think was only, Chinese or Mandarin speaking. But again, let's say that is true and she's just a translator. I mean, that would have been an easier, like, you know what, actually I'm just there as a translator, would have been more believable, but either it's a chip on the shoulder and she's trying to impress everybody, but I still don't think there's actually someone on this app that I used to go into these comedy improv rooms. She's also a little borderline cuckoo, but the things that she's alluded to for her job working at, she's like, oh yeah, I've been in the Pentagon, I've been here and there. We think like she's fairly hyper intelligent in math, so she might be a mathematician for FBI or something like that, but she keeps it very limited. She's like, oh, I'm not briefing, I'm not hanging out with the president. She doesn't say, hey, anyone who she's ever been with, she just says, I have clearance to such and such buildings and keeps it minimum. She's not talking about briefing.
What it is with her, she has a great recipe for pork fried rice.
But even then, she wouldn't be advising the president on any translations. That would be handed up to senior levels.
Yep.
She would be told to be silent if she was in the room, and then she would just, no, she's not being brought in, and they wouldn't bring necessarily a translator, and I doubt she would rise on translation. I'm just going to say that out loud. I don't think she would pass the clearance background. I think she's just a cat lady. That's the exception.
They're definitely not bringing in a fucking civilian translator. That's not happening. That's not it.
That's correct, because we have translators in the military and in the CIA itself. That's all they do, and those individuals have much higher clearances than she would ever hope to obtain.
I mean, I think even those translators that work at the UN, right? You see all the world leaders with the headphones on, listening to the translators for their language. I don't even think they are civil. I don't know for sure, but I don't think they are civilian roles. I think they must be. Sure, you must go through many, many hurdles. You can be translating whatever the fuck you want. What's actually not saying if you're a lunatic or if you have a political agenda that you don't agree with whatever is being said in the meeting. So, oh wow, that's.
Does anyone follow Vigilant Fox on X? He's a news aggregator, and every day he does 10 stories that are missed by mainstream media. And I retweeted it. We posted a couple of them today. I thought they were some interesting ones with the vaccines, an interview with that, and then with the American Eagle genes have everybody in a tizzy. Anyone follow?
Sorry, I felt that.
news link from X automatically dismiss it because it's from X, and I don't know why they don't understand that X is where all the breaking news is now. They're relying on mainstream media. I'll even post articles from mainstream media from X, but when they see the X link, they dismiss it, and I'm like, you guys don't understand that that's the news organization that you like. I'm drinking a Happy Dad hard iced tea, and I cannot tell you how much I don't recommend it. It tastes like water. Yes.
I had what's called a Rev Up. It's a little kiosk coffee / whatever beverage stand, and I had one of those today, and it was a 32-ounce blue raspberry Rev Up. So it was like a 32-ounce energy drink, and I don't know if I'm just getting immune to this stuff, but I don't feel revved up.
You stayed unrevved. That's too bad.
If you need 32 ounces of it, Roger, that's an inefficient energy drink.
Yeah, I typically like the 300 milligram Black Rifle coffee, iced coffee in a can, or the Celsius. Those are good. But the Black Rifle coffee, that one's really good.
I like the Black Rifle coffee. I just make it in a pot and grab a cup, but I like whatever happened to just plain old fucking coffee.
With you on that, I just enjoyed a nice afternoon cup of coffee. I can't do, to each their own, I cannot do those energy drinks, all that chemical. I mean, coffee's does increase your heart rate, but those energy drinks, I mean, at least there's actually some antioxidants in coffee, but those energy drinks, man, ooh, just no.
I kind of like just maintaining. At this point, I like to start my day with 300 milligrams of caffeine, and then consume about another 200 over the course of the afternoon. So about 500 milligrams a day of caffeine.
How many cups of coffee is that? Is assuming it's like what are you doing, 8 ounce or 12 ounce? Are you supersizing me right out of the gate? What are you doing? Well,
so I start with the 300 milligram Black Rifle coffee, so that's how I get that. And then the other 200 milligrams I get through Diet Coke through it.
So the first one is about 4 cups of coffee that you're taking.
300 milligrams is approximately 4 cups of coffee.
Yeah, 75 milligrams. It depends how it's brewed.
Right, that's true. Dark roast, medium roast, light roast, all that. Wow, 4 cups, that's...
Not the roast, it's espresso or brewed, this drip.
I do the French press, or I do the pot on the stove, or I just boil water, throw the coffee grounds in there, dump a half a cup of cold water on top of it, and then the grounds sink to the bottom, then I scoop out the cup. That's pretty much the easiest way for me to make coffie.
Cowboy,
I don't know how much.
Call that cowboy coffee.
Yeah, yes, sir. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't even mind the ground. Like, I just chew them up and eat it. It's fine. I mean, I've been camping where I've had to chew the beans themselves, because that's all somebody had because they were supposed to bring coffee, and just chewed the beans up in my mouth and then just added water and drank it down. And it's fine. It gets you going in the morning.
I've just gotten to the point where if I don't get enough caffeine, then I'll get a headache, like a withdrawal headache. And so now, like, I just maintain the 500 milligrams a day. Eventually, I need to get down off of it, but it's not worth going through, like, I probably have to go through a good 3 days.
I can drink coffee like 5 minutes before bed and sleep like a baby.
I take my vitamin before bedtime, washing it down with a 16-ounce Diet Coke.
Why not just quit the Coca-Cola? Like, that shit will fuck you up. Like, just go to water. Like, what's wrong with water? Juices. That shit's good. I mean, but water.
Juice has more sugar than the Diet Coke.
Water has no sugar.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, the reason you probably have the headache is because you're dehydrated.
I'll take caffeine withdrawal.
Well, Mojo, you're not a big drinker. I think you said a few times that you're weaning off drinking, or you don't really drink it that much anymore. And it's funny, I've got a regular poker game there where they happen to be all AA guys. I'm the only non-AA guy there. Not big stakes game or whatever, but all these guys, there's like usually a bowl of candy because they need that sugar, and Red Bull.
It's amazing. They're probably like crazy gamblers too. I would imagine that they bluff more often than the average person.
Some of them, yes, and some of them go off the rails. Some literally just doing it for social fun, like myself. But yeah, there's one guy sadly who not only is he a crazy gambler. I mean, he was in the hole several thousand, not at our games because we're talking $20-$40, but he was going to the casinos. And he was that cliche guy that just, all I need is one more hand, and I'll be good. I'll catch up.
A chip in a chair.
Yeah, it's like owning Mahoney. You ever see that? A chip in a chair. Yeah, these days it's more like a Venmo in a chair. And so he's not only did he go off the rails, with gambling, but apparently he's using again and is borderline homeless.
Oh boy.
That's tough. So I've been doing the Play-Doh app. Is there any there's a couple of houses on Clubhouse that have groups on Play-Doh. Is there any interest in the Muff having a Play-Doh group?
You want to put Play-Doh in the Muff?
Yeah, I think if you use it carefully.
Does that give blockages? I'm just asking for a friend.
Well, I would recommend in the Muff Play-Doh, but whatever works for you guys.
Is there really an app called Play-Doh?
Plato. Yeah, it's a gaming app.
As in the philosopher.
Yes.
Wow. Did you say, is it like this? Is it like Telegram or whatever, all these other fucking knockoff?
Yeah, well, you have friends, and then you can play with your friends, and you can play with strangers. And working on my Texas Hold'em. I'm not very good yet, but
it's strictly a game. Yeah, gotcha. I thought it was a social.
So he took one of the greatest minds in history and made a gaming app. That's his name.
Yeah, that's awful. Like there's something. Plato's turning over in his grave for sure.
Monica, would you ever play strip poker?
Don't punish us.
I'll take that as a yes.
In a Clubhouse movie, who would play Brad and Moose?
I think we decided that a young Robert Duvall, essentially the same character that he played in Apocalypse Now, he plays.
I would have gone with Liam Neeson. Nielsen? But okay.
No, he's a British guy. Brad's not a British guy.
You see, I think we pick our characters differently. Like, you're going for resemblance or what you imagine is resemblance. I'm going with character, vibe. Interesting.
Monica, I would, it would be a hard choice, but I'm thinking like somebody like Kate Beckinsale to play.
We had that discussion yesterday.
Do you agree? Do you agree?
Well, sure. Why not?
Do you think she can
happen?
Do you think she can capture the essence of Monica?
Well, I'm thinking compared to Kathy Bates, yes.
We never decided who was going to play Kelly.
Are you kidding me? Kelly would have half the fucking women in the cast fucking shot before the opening scene ever began.
John Voight's daughter whose name is escaping me, who played Tomb Raider.
Angelina
Jolie.
Kelly left. She did not want to be cast in her movie.
You ever hear when we did that survival game where she was like, here's my survival plan for the apocalypse. I will kill everybody else on here, and I am poaching all A, B, C, D, and E and F. Like that was her game plan to survive the apocalypse and just kill off everybody outside. Most notably starting with the majority of women.
What about Kristen? Kristen was on. It was in that conversation, and we gave her a bunch of shit. Oh, there she is, Kristen. We're talking about you. Actually, I don't want to bring up the story now. You'll get mad that I'm bringing it up again. Anyways, the topic.
Really? No, please continue. I want to hear everything.
The topic came up about the whole Oregon Trail thing, and yeah.
Yes, I want to hear all about the legacy that I'm leaving with Clubhouse.
Yeah, I think we were a little.
Please continue.
I think we were a little unfair about your decision that you should be on a wagon because you know how to knit. I think that was the argument.
It wasn't, but continue.
Go ahead, correct me where I'm wrong.
No, I've already had this discussion with Lydia. I like your story better.
Was it crochet needles?
Comedy improv rooms at Kristen. She's fun.
Oh, thanks, Moose.
I do believe her attack weapon was the crochet needles. Like she was like, I can attack somebody with crochet needles, and I think I rebuffed that.
Can we welcome? Hold on. Can we welcome John Kitover, who's running for Congress? John, thanks for joining.
Good evening. Kelly had me blocked, FYI, but happy to be here.
John, I have a question for you. During your breakup with Monica, like, what was did it end amicably, or was there a lot of vitriol there?
I'd like to be funny right now, but because I've been waiting so patiently to come into this room where I was paged, I will defer back to anybody else who, wants to make a joke at Monica's expense.
Not I. I am Monica's defender.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have a problem with Monica. I think, she's a unique person in unique spaces, and I think she's funny. I think she does have a sense of humor, and she likes to have fun. So, I've always applauded her and Anne as well, and they organized the Clubby Awards, and I got Troll of the Year. So, and that's because of Monica. So I'll be forever grateful to Monica for actually, making this a fun experience.
Did you actually get the statue? Did you get an acceptance speech and a payment and a gift bag?
It was good enough. It was good enough. It was the dopamine, and then the ability for me to go around and be introduced as Troll of the Year was credibility enough for me. Thank you, Monica.
Well, Anne created that, so you need to give her credit.
It was a competition. How stiff was the competition for Troll of the Year?
Well, I mean, you had KB, you had Alex New York, I'm sure. You probably, I would imagine it's stiffer than you think.
That's not what she said.
It was a lot of work. It was during COVID. It was during, peak COVID when the worst of the worst on this app were holding daily shame rooms and encouraging everyone to take the Pfizer, Moderna, or J&J. And it was a dark time. Nobody was leaving their house. But at the same time, this app became a game, and you would get kicked from rooms. You'd have accounts deleted. I mean, it was a lot of work. And, I got recognized for being funny, for using voices, for trolling people, for embarrassing people and shaming people who are worthy of derision and shame. And they are, we can call them out by name, and they're not here right now because they're charlatans. They're snake oil salesmen. They're low IQ. They had no credibility. They hide behind anonymity. And it was toxic communication.
I mean, I will will say.
Didn't Brad get an award for most likely to survive a zombie apocalypse or something like that?
Yes, he did.
Probably. Yeah.
Drop him in the volcano.
Yep. Edmund, I did stick up for you earlier. There is a young woman who was, I guess, an advisor to 3 administrations, particularly for the president. She hangs out in the Situation Rooms, and she stated that you need to be exiled.
I know, I heard.
Online platforms, and I stuck up for you.
I know, I heard. I'm in the audience right now as Anonymous live streaming this, and she claimed that I should either be put in a psychiatric facility or put in prison. And to me, I think all communication is projection. So that Situation Room advisor, whoever she is, and I know she loves abortion, and I know she loves her liberal whack job concepts, but God bless her, health, wealth, love to her, and everyone else on this app of incredible people.
Going down memory lane here with the troll awards. So that, if I'm not mistaken, was when anyone on stage, you didn't have to be a moderator. If you had somebody blocked, they were not getting in the room. True or false?
I think that's true. I remember many stage being sent to the goo to get people in.
I believe the term was, I'm not here to talk, I'm just shadow banning. I have to say, one of my favorites on the right is Edward, who just joined. We agree to disagree on several topics, but I don't think I've ever heard Edward get mad or even insult anyone with any vitriol. He always remains a gentleman through the argument.
No, he has friends like me that'll do it for him, so he never even had that word.
Exactly. It's like Wayne Gretzky having his teammates that crush other people. He didn't need to get in any fights.
Brad got that right. He does talk.
Edward, what do you? I know you're a Christian man. What does the Holy Spirit, tell you about peace, wisdom, and strength? And why do you think people on this app struggle so much emotionally, intellectually, but yet they keep coming back and really crashing out and getting angry and spewing toxicity and stupidity?
I can't speak to everyone, but I think foundation is important. And when you love yourself, you don't project on other people. So I think that's a big issue in our society. Actually, worldwide. I've been in 54 countries, and I think a lot of people don't love who they are. They don't even love their family. They don't love their country. I can only bring to any relationship who Edward is. And that's how I try to always stand. I respect every human being. They're uniquely different than I am. And I believe in clarity over agreement. I'm clear to everybody. I don't believe what I believe, but I don't have to agree with them. And I just try to keep that in the lane. That's what I try to do on a regular basis.
Edward, welcome to In the Muff. I hope you would join us in the Muff.
I already joined the Mojo.
How are you enjoying the Muff?
So far, it's been a very interesting combo. You guys talk about Jordan, the tide of Jordan Peterson, but there's some great things he's written and some things that's just his clinical background. But I take the meat and throw it bones. That's how I see it. I don't hate anyone.
Yeah, I would highly recommend the book Maps of Meaning, but his 10 rules, the more you read it, the more it's like Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, like I said, some of the stuff that he writes comes from his clinical or even from the people he's counseled. I mean, there's just a lot of different things. But he does get, especially young men who don't have direction, I think he gave them some good advice. If they apply just a little bit, I think we have a better society.
I've never read anything by Jordan Peterson. Mojo, that's interesting. So does he rhyme? Does everything he's saying is in a rhyme to make it easier to learn?
It's just written for young children. It's like, it's not, like, I think the appeal to it is he takes ideas and he tries to make them accessible. This is going to sound inflammatory. I'm glad Monica's not here to correct me. But he basically takes ideas and tries to make them accessible to dumb people. And so
And that was how he got poppy. Before that, he was a professor, and he wrote really dense, important, good shit. And then through a Reddit thread, I think it was Coro was where it was at. He was responding to a question about what are the rules to a happier, successful life, whatever. And then he gave like 40 answers, and people loved it. And so then he was like, oh, okay, well, people like what I have to say here. And so he distilled it down to, to 10 rules. And that's how that got written, was through, a positive response to something that he wrote on Quora. The upvotes were pretty phenomenal. Top 1% of posts that was ever on there. And so that got him a book deal, and that was the inspiration and all that kind of shit. But if you read it, it's not that I disagree with that stuff. It's just he's like the dumb person, smart guy.
How much money do you think Dana Lucas in the chat? By the way, I was like, wow, I was modeling a room recently, and I was in here, I got him blocked, but he's got more burners than a CIA agent, and I realized he spelled his last name differently, with a U instead of an A. I mean, he's got to be grifting, right? Like, isn't it just law of averages with these grifts? We laugh at it, we delete it, but somebody is paying him for giving him their money.
This is correct. Those Nigerian friends' emails, they wouldn't go out if nobody's ever responded to them. So.
I think it's known as, work from home during the pandemic. Well, this is the grift from home.
So Roger, answer what's the terminology, since I'm unfamiliar with it.
God, Edward, I like you too much to answer this question. Can I just not answer it?
Don't answer it. Thank you very much. It is that difficult for you.
Edward, I'll just say this. You have putted in the mud before in your lifetime, so you're fine.
I just find it interesting that what is the reason why people love to hate him?
Jordan Peterson.
Jordan.
I think he's redundant. I think he doesn't lead by example. I hate feckless leaders who sit there and proclaim that this is the way society should be. And then when you actually watch them in their own personal lives, they cannot mimic any of the rhetoric that they're talking about, nor do they actually apply the whatever his 40 rules are to his own personal life. You can look no further than his own daughter and the complications that exist there that he allowed to become into the public fray. I think the fact that he enjoys the notoriety and in the group of followers that he does appeal to, the Monicas and the frog fanciers, I think are enough to warrant a cautious glance into how he's really trying to generate any kind of traction.
Was that guy? I think he died last year. Kevin Samuels, wasn't he kind of in the Jordan Peterson arena?
Yeah, I think Kevin Samuels died with a hooker in his bed or something like that.
Smile on his face.
Not a bad way to go. You gotta go.
Unless the hooker killed him.
One of the reasons why there is a lot of anger on this app is because of a lack of education and comprehension. And somebody like Victoria or the politically correct room, the rhetoric and the propaganda and the hate speech that you hear from these people is a direct correlation to a lack of education and comprehension.
American, I would say, is actually, are we talking about university education or home life education?
No, wisdom. There's an expression To understand all is to forgive all. Most of these people on these apps who are liberal retards who project their propaganda do not have a solid comprehension of education. There's no solid education in these people's brains. If you believe that giving $1 billion a month to abortion providers to kill American children is a good usage of taxpayer dollars, um, and you come on here and you talk about a women's health and abortion nonstop, that could be just a projection of personal trauma. I'm not saying Victoria has had an abortion. I don't know anything about the situation room girl. The point is, I have spent enough time recording retards on this app to know that all of the speakers on this app have never read a book on this app ever. They don't read. They have horrible comprehension, horrible education, and all they have is their political propaganda. It's pathetic.
So was that the foundation of where they come from, or is that their family line, or is that because they went through the public school system?
It's the now, meaning that it's a compression of their entire lives coming on this app now and spewing their vitriol, their hate speech, and their lack of education, and really their culture in many ways. So it's comprehensive. It is nurture and nature.
So when I adopt a liberal, I always ask the question, how did you come to that conclusion? And most of the time they don't have a reason why they came to a certain conclusion. I think people miss out on personal responsibility. It's just my observation in life. Brad and I had this conversation a long time ago that people don't want to take care of themselves. People think someone owes them something. And like I tell many people, no one owes anybody anything, but you should owe yourself to be responsible for yourself. Growing up at 61, I'm 61, guys, I'll be 62 in December. And they always talk about collective, the group, or they told me I lost my black card or whatever, all this stuff they say, the labeling. I always say, first of all, I was never issued a black card. Then number two, just because I happen to be a responsible person, I think that's where most people are having the biggest challenge. They don't want to take responsibility for their own behavior.
My black card works all the time. I can go shopping with it anytime I want to. My black card works just fine. I'm sure yours does too.
Mine does. Brad, my black card does work. I'm talking about ethnicity though, but it's good, Brad.
So Edward, I agree with your comment about folks needing to take the accountability of that for whatever reason they don't. But I think you're referring to liberals. Would you say that is exclusively liberals or the left side, and most of the right and the conservatives are just taking accountability all day long?
I think it disproportionately is a problem of the left. I'm not here to absolve the entire right-hand side of the spectrum, but I think in the current state, it's more of a left problem.
I agree with that statement. I think that, and for me, that's another thing. I was born in America, not by choice, but I do believe in our founding document. It says we hold these truths to be self-evident. So this is when I talk to liberals. I live in California, you guys, so I talk to a lot of them. And I always say, why should I go to work every day, own a company, and you benefit from it because you didn't even earn anything? They don't comprehend that we live in a society where you are personally responsible for yourself. Our founding fathers never wanted us to have big government. And right now, bureaucracy have given people some sense of entitlement, which I can't comprehend. I just don't understand it. But it is what it is. And like people even ask me, did you vote for Donald Trump? I said, no, I voted for Edward. I don't know Donald Trump, never met him. Don't know anybody in this county, never met him. I'm an American. I get to cast a vote. What happens in my house is much more important than what happens in the White House. That's how I live my life, guys. No one's coming to my rescue. I don't care if they're Republican, Democrat, not what they call liberals, or even Roger and I. What's the group again? I forgot it again. Libertarian. Everybody wants a label. My only label is I love God and I'm an American. That's my label.
And I hear you there, and to the point of, yes, California too. I talk to lots of liberals, obviously, and I also, the Godfather said, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. And I'm not saying say that in gist. I'm not saying conservatives or anyone on the right is necessarily enemy. It's a strong term. But, you got to get outside of our political bubbles and see what is their perspective versus this perspective and such. But what stands out, though, Edward, respectfully, is you're saying it's mostly the liberals that are not taking accountability, that are not taking care of themselves and sucking on Uncle Sam's nipple for welfare. However, ironically, 7 of the top 10 states in this country that rely most heavily on Uncle Sam's handouts are red states.
And I don't disagree. With you. I think that's only because of the demographics of those states in the structure. I personally believe that all life starts in your home, meaning that how you're going to go out and recognize the world. Unfortunately, in the last 50 years, a lot of people have been born to single parents. You don't have that heavy relationship between where men and women respect each other enough to train their children properly. And if you're in California, obviously you see the smash and grabbing going on. You see people, see a person getting beat, 2 people getting beat, and 100 people using their cameras. We have a society today that we like to see things happen versus get involved in just change. It's just really sad. I would never think at 61 that the human being could be so cruel to themselves.
Yeah, the level of insensitivity has grown clearly, and I don't know if when I began to first notice it, but certainly at least 15, 20 years ago. And the level of anxiety has grown, and I think it got exacerbated by the pandemic, and then the fear for a lack of control in their lives, to the inability to let go and let fate sort of arrive at your doorstep is no longer part of the American culture. So there's a bunch of, outside of the code of the Bible or the guidance that religion typically brings into life, there's something about our culture that amplifies these things that sort of eat away and culminate with anger and reactivity and impulsiveness that our parents didn't have to experience.
Yeah, Jeff, I tend to think that the foundation has not been laid for the previous generation, or they don't believe in foundation. They think they can go out and build their lives on sand or on rhetoric or like pronouns or saying that drag people can teach or that men get pregnant. I mean, there's no foundational stuff. No one's looking at the things that's happened for 3,000 years, and all of a sudden we get some people who've gone to university. And my wife always said people got degrees but no temperature. And the reason why is because we have decided now that education has become the god of America, that only 37.7% of the American population has a bachelor's degree or above, but yet do not know how to live with another human being, including themselves.
And I like something else you shared, that you said your wife, or an acronym that she came up with the other day was PMS, right? We, of course, all know initially what that means biologically for women, but I like your wife's breakdown. That is, I think it was power, money, sex. Right?
That you got it right, Bruce. That's my wife's thing. We were watching.
Right on.
She said that's what all these politicians want. Both sides of the aisle. They like power, they like money, and they like sex. They're not thinking about any of us.
Exactly. They couldn't possibly care. Their interest or their interest. But I would even further that and say, like, what happens to the work ethic in this country? Where today you have influencers making, several thousand, forget several thousand, 100,000 a month or so. Just talking on camera, doing pranks at a drive-through. And so, okay, you can understand that, the demographic is generally, what is it these days? Gen X, Gen Z? Sorry, not Gen X. The really young one, I think, is Gen Z. So I get it. When in Rome, this is all they know. They weren't born with a silver spoon in their mouth. They were born with a silver phone in their mouth. But where I take issue is there's a whole documentary about it. I think it was Ad Teen Influence, something like that, where it was one's mother. This mother was started pimping, not actually pimping out in the traditional sense, but certainly monetarily for likes and such on video, where this mother started videoing her kids because they're so cute and putting it online. I mean, I think she started when these kids were as young as 7 or 8, something like that. And then she's like, oh my gosh, we got like 500 hits following week. Oh my gosh, we have 5,000 hits. So she saw dollar signs in her eye and a cash cow. She went on further. I mean, there's some kids that have come forward in this documentary that this woman was totally pushing the envelope as these kids were getting a little older, I mean, maybe 12. She would literally stage it and encourage her own child to like kiss a boy on the mouth. And then sure enough, like 10,000 more hits, 100,000 more likes. And of course, the money starts rolling in. It even got to the point where some of them came in, some actually said on camera that this woman would actually get in bed with some of these kids and rub herself on top of them and just tell these kids it's okay, we're just having fun. So it's kind of like, okay, you can't really blame the kid, they don't know better, but when we're in a society where parents are putting their kids on the world stage in these circumstances for money, and she was making money, I mean, like lots of it. I think it's something wrong here, something really wrong.
So, Moose, I wanted to push back on something you said earlier, where you said blue states are bailing out red states fiscally. And I'm going to give you a counter, because I know where this narrative comes from, and I know like the number of people that really truly believe it. But first and foremost, I would say the nation as a whole is in a federal deficit. So there is no state that is bailing out any of the other states. We're completely operating in a massive deficit. So that right there really does put the nail in the coffin for this argument that blue states are bailing out red states. Because if it were true, no state is actually contributing enough to call it. Most of these blue states are actually running into financial issues, deficits, lack of controls in spending. And generally, when you look at the federal distribution of funds, this can go for a variety of projects. If you're talking about Medicare following the FMAP principles, yeah, you will see those more in rural states. But then again, that's rural. The concentration of wealth that exists in particular cities, such as New York, Chicago, LA, Dallas, there's a couple others. Those generally will have mixed reviews because they will have enormous wealth, but they'll have massive taxation programs to actually garner that wealth, while the rest of the state is actually dependent on it. And these blue states often receive, based on projects, they get federal priority because of the wealth generation, such as highways and things along those lines, infrastructure builds. They'll actually receive more foundational money or federal money in terms of it, rather than, say, a Wyoming or Rhode Island. Well, Rhode Island won't, because right now they're going to try to reinvest in shipbuilding. So they'll receive some more influx of capital from the federal government, or at least will add to the deficit to build ships. So I really hate this point where people try to say the blue states bail out the red, when quite frankly, when you look down on it, maybe you're going to make a case for Medicaid and SNAP, but even that is not necessarily true, as the federal government upholds projects in mostly blue states, California, New York again, that primarily get a lot of projects in there. And then part of the federal dollars go for a lot of other projects that can't exist in those, such as mining, military bases, training, some areas that just they need gas, fracking. So like a lot of these other areas that are more rural, they actually contribute a lot because those blue states, unfortunately, would not necessarily be able to operate at all because they just don't allow those practices to actually go on.
Yeah, no, wait, I mean, so wait, I think maybe I misspoke. The stat that I put out was specifically, I think you're talking about, like, because I just did a quick search too, and I had to use specific language. In the initial search I said, yeah, it's a mix of blue and red states that get federal aid. What I meant was specifically individual citizens getting SNAP, getting Medicaid, getting literally just like surviving, get their income relying on the individual's household income, relying on government, not necessarily fracking and states getting help from blue or federal government. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that goes further to like the infrastructure projects at hand. So like if you look at some more, and I would go to where I would look at wealth concentration, particularly in cities versus the rural landscape, because then it paints a different picture. Blue states get it because like the sad part is majority and Texas and parts of Florida, the majority of the wealth creation or the wealth concentration exists in these 4 primary states. So when you look at it and you start looking at it on a city, then you start saying, all right, wait a minute, maybe this distribution isn't necessarily fair. So for instance, I would point to hospital and medical infrastructure and the decrease in actual employment in these rural areas, which causes a need for federal assistance because there is no significant development into manufacturing or making another wealth concentration center in these states. So, I mean, it's a bit of a precarious stance. I get why the left often use it, but I don't think it's actually portrayed accurately as how we divvy up federal funds in this country.
Isn't part of the problem, though, that we allow the left to control the narrative about what the role of government ought to be? And so then they frame what the role should be, and then everybody argues about how the government should prioritize those things, and then they fight over spending. If there was a real opposition to the left, like a genuine opposition to the left, it would start with the reframing of what are the rights that the citizens have, and then what is the role of the government that would protect those rights. I think that there's just, to me, when I listen to both parties speak, I hear about people that have expanded they go from negative rights to positive rights. Then they have this I guess misunderstanding of why government was created in the first place, and then they just expand it to do everything in everyone's lives. And until you roll that conversation all the way back and have a conversation about what the role of government is, I think that conservatives are going to get destroyed at every turn, because you're allowing the framing to be done on the left, and then you're playing their game. And even if you got your way, you won the battle of who's the least leftist.
Anson, good to see you. I usually just see you in Gary's room. But Mojo, to that point, though, wait. We have, how is it exactly that we're allowing the left to control the narrative?
It's very simple. It's they will say things like, healthcare is a right, and then the right will then argue about what is the right thing to do at the federal level when it comes to healthcare. I think we should take a pause and just ask the question, the honest question of, why should the federal government do anything in regards to healthcare?
Outside of regulation, I tend to agree with you until we can come up with a formula that, or at least something to provide for, say, the disabled. And I don't mean disabled because you eat 400 pounds of foot drum. I'm talking about you're blind, you lost both hands and no legs, you have a medical condition or even a mental condition that we can determine as that you are disabled. I also think that a certain age of the elderly, depending on your medical condition, could qualify for that. I don't look at the idea that as soon as you're 65, you are forced on Medicare or an MAO, and you're kind of determined that that's the age in which you no longer can be a product. You don't produce to society. You now become a burden. I think if we actually changed our culture to accept senior citizens or elderly people, who definitely can play a pivotal role in many areas of our economy. You're not here asking for a cultural wake-up. I don't really know,
right,
but as far as medical, I would agree with you. We need to streamline it down, and this would decrease costs.
You're not agreeing with me.
It would expand
You're not agreeing with me. Brad, you're not agreeing with me. You're actually doing exactly what I said that the right does, which is when I say that we should have this conversation about what the role of government should be and perhaps consider that the federal government should stay out of it, you're still talking about streamline and in regards to Medicare. Like, I'm literally talking about why do we have Medicare? Why do we have Social Security? I legitimately don't believe that either of those things should exist for the at the federal government level. I think that if you want to have some sort of insurance policy that gives access to more people, okay, figure that out. Why is the government? Why are the taxpayers on the hook for this shit? Like, why is it not voluntary? If it's such a good idea, we should fix it, right? If it's such a good idea, there would be people that would put their time, their money, and their effort together to fix this thing. I don't think that people really. I don't think they really care. I think all they want is an easy button. And the easy button for everyone is to just say, we'll put it in the hands of the government, and then we'll have gridlock and arguments, and then the result will be some Frankenstein monster program that we can never get rid of, that's super expensive, super wasteful, and doesn't solve the problem that it's intended to solve. I'm simply saying, instead of playing that game and designing a Frankenstein monster that doesn't solve anything, why don't we just ask the question again, what's the role of government? And again, I know that